Welcome, everybody, to Walking Between Shadows. We're your host. I'm Ben.
I'm Taryn.
And Taryn, this week we're going to cover a case out of Gibson County, our home county again.
Yes.
What's her name?
Sarah Phillips.
And what community?
This is Gibson County, Milan, and we're going to talk about Trenton a little bit too.
Okay. Well, after nearly a year spent searching, a Milan woman's family is now preparing to lay her to rest. Authorities identified a skull recovered from a wooded area of Gibson County as the remains of Sarah Michelle Phillips on Tuesday. Local authorities, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, friends, and family members had been searching for Sarah Michelle Phillips since she was last seen on January the 9th, 2019. Sarah was taken way too soon, Phillips' oldest sister, Mariah Leem, said in a Facebook post on Tuesday. "My heart is broken. Please pray for our family." Phillips was 22 at the time of her disappearance. A dog brought the remains to its owner in a wooded area near the Gibson County-Carroll County line Saturday. Gibson County Sheriff's deputies responded to the scene and searched the area for additional remains with the help of cadaver dogs, but didn't find anything. The medical examiner's office in Memphis identified the remains as Phillips using partial dental records, according to a release from the Gibson County Sheriff Paul Thomas. Thomas wrote that authorities will continue to search the area in the coming days and investigate the circumstances of Phillips' disappearance. Milan Police Chief Bobby Sellers had been investigating the case since she was reported missing. "I hate that a young person's life had been taken, but it helps us now to go from trying to find her to trying to find who did this or what happened to her," Sellers said. "The Sheriff's Department and Milan PD are going to work together and do everything we can to try and figure out what happened. The TBI and Trenton Police Department are also involved in the ongoing investigation." The search for Sarah Phillips. The TBI agreed to help Milan Police Department with Phillips' case in March by providing technical support and advice. Now, Taryn, when we say March, that's 3 months after she disappeared.
Right, and we're talking about 2019.
In 2019, yep.
Right.
Because Milan police investigators did not suspect foul play or criminal activity at the time, the TBI could not take on the case in an official capacity, Sellers said. Phillips had a history of leaving her home unannounced, but had never ceased contact with her family for an extended period of time. That and the fact that she was without her diabetes medication for months was cause for concern for Sellers and Phillips' family. Billboards bearing Phillips' picture and a plea for public help in the search were placed in several areas of Jackson in July of 2019. Police confirmed that Phillips was last seen in Trenton in early January, Sellers said in March. At first, police believed that she had traveled to Jackson with some friends, but that idea was soon dispelled. Phillips' sister, Chelsea Duchette and Leem, told Jackson Sun in April that they were not aware of any close friends Phillips had in the Trenton area. So that's the quick overview of Sarah Michelle Phillips. And part of the reason we're doing this is people are asking us to bring this back up because it seems to have fallen out of attention.
Very much so. And I don't even know that it ever got that much attention because, yes, there was billboards put up, but I do not remember this. And I was in the area and I don't remember this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this actually was fairly new to me.
Mm-hmm.
Very recently.
Yeah. I had not heard of it. I mean, my family that was there during this never said anything about it.
Mm-mm. And I reached out to Mariah Leem, who is Sarah's sister.
Uh-huh.
And, she talked to me a little bit about this and said that, basically nobody did anything.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as looking for her and, an investigation, it just wasn't,
Yeah.
right before COVID. So, I mean, yeah, it just seems like so many of these cases just got lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wanted to get back. And right now we're looking at the 5-year anniversary today of finding Sarah's skull.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the beginning
Okay.
of this.
Okay.
Sarah was born October the 25th to Belinda Limaraco and Michael Phillips. Sarah had 2 older half-sisters that belonged to Belinda, Mariah Leem, and Chelsea Doucette. She was born in West Tennessee, so she was born, I believe, in Memphis,
Yeah.
and she was there until she was 12 years old. And in January of 2009, actually January 9th of 2009, her mother did pass away.
Mhm.
I don't know how, but she did. And for 2, 3 years, Sarah went to California and lived there and was going to a Catholic school there. She did move back to Milan with her dad, Michael Phillips, and she was living there at the time that this case took place.
Mhm.
So she worked at several different places as a car hop in Memphis,
Yeah.
Sonic.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if she didn't have family in both places, like in Memphis, maybe even in California, and then some in Milan and Jackson as well.
Yeah.
She also worked at Chuck E. Cheese in Jackson, Tennessee as a party planner. And her last job was at Milan Box.
Okay.
Now, on January the 9th of 2019, Sarah is at home with her dad, and he sees her that morning, and she's going to work. And later on that day, he gets a phone call from her, and she says, I'm going to meet some friends at the dollar store,
Mhm.
and then I'm going with a male friend to Jackson. Now, he asked her, who are you going with?
Yeah.
And she didn't never tell him anything.
Yeah. I think people, will see kind of that he says that in this statement on this video
Mhm.
from WBBJ in Jackson.
Right.
And you can hear his heartbreak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
WBBJ 7 Eyewitness News reporter Stephanie Fernandez spoke with Sarah's father.
On January 9th, 22-year-old Sarah Michelle Phillips disappeared. Her father, Michael Phillips, says the last time he saw his daughter was at his home in Milan. She was supposed to go to work. Since that day, he hasn't seen or heard from her again. Sarah's father says if anybody has any information on her whereabouts, please come forward.
If anybody knows, can give any information, get in touch with me or TBR and Milan Police. Please keep praying. I just want her to know that I love her, and I want her to get in touch with me if she's okay. She's my baby.
So, I mean, that's really the last thing Michael Phillips heard from her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did find out when I started researching this, I talked to my daughter, Marley, and she was actually working as a librarian in Milan, Tennessee at this time.
Yeah.
Now, January the 9th, Sarah did come into the library and she logged on to Facebook as a guest, and she was talking to a couple people on Messenger. And one of those people was her sister, Mariah Leem, and Mariah was able to confirm that with her messages.
Uh-huh.
And she just asked her sister, "How you doing?" They were going through this, anniversary, and
Mm-hmm.
anniversaries are hard. So, it was probably a pretty rough day for Sarah and Mariah and Chelsea.
Yeah.
So, also, Marley did notice that, Sarah was kind of nervous, and she kept looking behind her, and then she ended up leaving there.
Yeah.
And so that was one place that she did visit. Going into this, we found out that she was also seen on surveillance in Trenton um, that day as well.
Yeah. That statement was made a couple of times
Hmm.
that she'd been seen in Trenton.
With some people there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So she was also seen in Trenton. And that was the last place. So did she leave from Milan with some friends and go to Trenton and was supposed to go to Jackson from there? I don't,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever saw her past Trenton.
Well, the end of that article said that at first police believed that she had traveled to Jackson with some friends, but that was soon dispelled.
Yes. Oh, okay. That's what it says.
Yeah. So, dispelled how? We don't know. That's just what the article said from the Jackson Sun.
Right. Right. And I mean, of course, we don't know any names and, or any of that or who she was around because this is still open.
Uh-huh.
As far as I know, it's very open.
Yeah.
There are no answers, and so time goes by, and she's been missing for a couple weeks. Nobody's heard from her. Um, there was somebody that did come forth, a female that did come forth and tell Gibson County Sheriff's Department that she did see Sarah the night of January 9th at a house party.
Yeah.
And the next morning, Sarah just kind of walked off. And this was in Milan.
So she was seen at a house party in Milan.
Right. She was at a residence, and I assume like some kind of like get together. And that this female that was there saw her leave the next morning and just walk away.
So this all occurs on essentially what would have been January the 8th, right?
The 9th, I believe.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because we said that she was spotted in Trenton on surveillance,
Right.
with a couple of people,
Right. So I'm
and
guessing that's pretty late in the evening.
well, was it? I mean, because she wound up at a house party in Milan that same night.
Right. So I don't know.
I'm just trying to understand the timeline of that day and
Yeah,
keep that
it's
kind
a lot going on. It's
in
like
one day. All this occurred in one day.
right. Like she was in Milan at her dad's, and then she goes from Milan to work.
Yeah.
Or does she go from her dad's house to the library and message her sister? Now, I know this was the 9th because this was the anniversary. This was the date.
Right.
And
her sister verified that.
Yes. And through their Facebook messages. Now, Sarah didn't have a phone. And I don't think she had a vehicle either at the time. So I don't know how she was getting around from place to place.
Well, could she have been there talking to people and waiting for a ride, like looking over her shoulder to see if whoever was there was coming to get her was there yet?
Right. Absolutely could have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that I don't know if she went to work. I don't know if she, maybe went to the library and met up with some people and was having a rough day. Now Sarah's passed. She was trying to put behind her some addiction issues, I believe with methamphetamine. And I'm not sure if there was anything else.
Yeah.
But she was trying to kick that habit and get that out of her life. Like I said, this was a rough day for her. Did she just say, you know what? I don't want to feel this.
Yeah.
And go to hang out with some people that were, willing to supply her with something that would numb her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, she was found October the 19th of 2019. So today would be 5 years. That since she's been found, or her skull has been found. Nothing else was. So it just seems like nothing else has been said about this.
Right.
She was found on the Gibson County, Carroll County line. So did she leave a Milan resident and walk off and maybe get, hit by a vehicle? And someone wanted to cover that up?
Yeah.
Or was it worse than that? I mean, they never found any clothes. They never found the rest of her body.
So I think I have to make it pretty clear that this is part of the reason we're covering this case. It just does not seem like a thorough investigation was done. And we don't know all this information, and nobody seems to have been interviewed that may know. Nobody's come forward that may know what happened to her. It's just we saw her here.
Right.
We saw her there. But as far as what happened, even theories, nobody's come forward to really say that, right?
Well, there have been. There actually has been some pretty strong rumors that have been told.
But rumors. I'm trying to clarify that the investigation is nothing.
No.
Or they're not telling it.
They're not telling. And it's like that. And it's like that. But it's been 5 years. I mean, how much time's going to pass before people forget things, people get clean? people get clean off of drugs and can't remember the time that they were on drugs, what was
Right.
going on.
Right.
Time brings a lot of comfort to guilty parties,
Uh-huh.
and it should, it seems like. And that's shitty to say, but it does.
Yeah.
And during this investigation, according to a very good friend of Michael Phillips, Sarah's dad,
Uh-huh.
Michael would call him daily and cry to him and say, I can't get any answers. And I just want answers. This is my baby.
Right.
This is my child.
Right.
And every time I call the Gibson County Sheriff's Department or the police, I get hung up on.
Uh-huh.
And I've also gotten told that they were going to put me under arrest if I called there again for harassing.
Yeah.
This is his child.
Yeah.
Is this the feel that they put out for family members of victims that have been, taken away? I mean, it just doesn't.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
And you
sit
can
right.
bet that, if either of us had a family member that was disappeared and didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
we'd be out shaking the trees and the foundations of every building and calling
Absolutely.
every agency involved. I mean, they work for the public. That's what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that this man was treated this way is just sickening.
And I want to say this doesn't feel like a random, kind of like a serial killer thing.
Sure.
It just doesn't feel random to me at all. This reminds me so much of the Josh Bohannon case up in the 13th Judicial District in Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
where he was a type 1 diabetic like Sarah. He goes missing, and 10 months later, they find just the skeletal remains of him. I don't think he had any clothes either, but they haven't found anything else for Sarah, and they never, in this investigation with Josh, it was around the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
2020. Yeah, very close, in times. And it just like nothing's been done. I
Right.
mean, and it just seems to me that there's a lot more to it.
Uh-huh.
And the feel to me is there's a lot more to it. But now Michael Phillips passed away about almost exactly 2 years, I believe, after Sarah. So,
And this is Sarah's dad.
yes, this is Sarah's dad, not Mariah Leem's and not Chelsea's.
Right.
But this is Sarah's dad. And according to Sarah's sisters, Michael was a great guy,
Yeah.
loved music, and Sarah was his baby.
Uh-huh.
And Sarah was also Mariah and Chelsea's baby as well. They considered her 5 years old. Even she was 22 years old, they considered her 5.
Yeah. And his friend, Michael's friend stated that he died of a broken heart.
Yes. Yes. He went through so many things. And now, I mean, for Sarah, she's got 2 sisters that want answers. They're very busy. They have small children and full-time jobs. And you know how it is these days. You have to work all the time to keep your head above water. And, who's fighting for, who can do this for Sarah? How can they, how can they do this?
Taryn, that's why we're doing this. We want people to see this. We want them to share it because people out there know.
Yeah.
And if they know, it's easy. You can call the TBI reporting line. What do they call it? 1-800-TBI-FIND or something like that?
Yeah, but that's with missing. I'm not sure, but they do have. We need to find that and put that up.
Well, you can call Crime Stoppers, the Gibson County Sheriff's Office, the Milan Police Department, the Trenton Police Department. You can call any of those departments.
Yes.
And if you're not comfortable doing that, you can communicate through us. Send us an email.
Right.
That's we're obligated to keep our mouth shut about it when you do that.
Right.
But that's what this is about. This is where we reach out and hopefully somebody that knows anything will say something to somebody or share this video with someone who does.
That's right. And if the people that are responsible for this get word that this is out there,
Yeah.
I hope you know that, there are people that still care.
Yep.
And I want to say that I put out feelers for this about a week and a half ago,
Uh-huh.
just trying to get some sense of what could have
If
happened.
anybody knew what happened, yeah.
And I did get back I got back some information.
Uh-huh.
Now, I did go through Tennessee Missing and Unsolved. And I looked up I looked up Sarah Phillips on there. And I like to read through the comments because sometimes a lot of information will come from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I did find that whenever Sarah was found, soon around the time that Sarah was found, or maybe even before, a little bit before she was found, that some of the people that were allegedly responsible for this were put in jail for like burglary and drug charges.
Uh-huh.
And the female was put through drug court and recovery court at that time,
Yeah.
to my understanding. And I'm not sure if the male did or not, but this was a couple. And I heard that Sarah was with them the night that this went down, January the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah could have possibly been having a relationship with the boyfriend of the couple.
Mm-hmm.
And the girlfriend wasn't having this at all.
Yeah.
And I believe Sarah maybe just kind of went to this thinking that these were her friends and that maybe she could spend a little time maybe with this person, this man, this boyfriend of the girl.
Yeah.
And I was told that Sarah was given a hot shot. And
What is a hot shot?
hot shot is like a overdose.
Okay.
Like a shot, like injected.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this before too. And that she was taken and thrown out in the woods somewhere. Now, I read in the comments, like I said, that these people were in jail around the time that either before she was found or around the time that she was found, and that the female went to recovery court and successfully made it out. And that's great.
Yeah.
And that the female and the male are together or at this time still. And that, that if you saw them today, you would never think that they did this to somebody.
Right.
That everyone thinks that these people are just the sweetest and, amazing. And
Well, if that's the case and they have made a recovery and gotten off of that addiction and that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yes.
And, they're thinking clearly,
Mhm.
then, hopefully their morals will get to them.
And you think about all this time, that time makes people comfortable,
But does it? I mean, does it weigh on a guilty conscience too?
But my feel of this is that she's not very comfortable. The person that's responsible for this or the people that were responsible for this, they're not comfortable. This bothers them very, very much.
Yeah.
They stay up at night
Yeah.
thinking about this and
Makes me wonder if they're still clean.
and try to figure out ways to justify this.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know if that's true. That's that's hearsay.
Right.
That's what's going around in this small community of, Gibson County,
Uh-huh.
Trenton and Milan.
Uh-huh.
But I do know that even if she had overdosed, let's say Sarah overdosed and there wasn't something quite as sinister at play, and people were in attendance of that, and say these people served her up with this drug and it killed her, would and in Tennessee, they would get charged with a second-degree murder charge for serving someone up with,
Uh-huh.
something that killed them.
Yeah, there's no amnesty to people that participate in drug use deaths.
But if they dispose of the body, then they only get an abuse of a corpse charge and, a failure to report to the police a death,
Uh-huh.
right?
I mean, again, the laws in Tennessee are not conducive to people to own up to what happened,
Mm-hmm.
because of what you just stated. If for some reason they admit to participating to getting rid of her, then yeah, I mean, they could be charged with other minor charges like that, like abuse of a corpse or, a couple other things, I'm sure. But murder too?
No,
Uh-uh.
there's not enough evidence. And if you only find a partial skull, how can you ever know what killed her unless, it's like Holly Bobo and there was a bullet
A bullet
hole.
hole or
Yeah.
damage. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that if that's what happened, that can tell the story, but the rest of her body not being recovered, that doesn't tell the whole story.
No, it
matter
doesn't.
what.
No clothes. No, where's her stuff?
Right.
Where's her purse?
Mhm.
Where's her ID? Where's her, what? Where's her stuff?
Yeah, and we don't know that authorities don't have that. It did say that they went out to that place with cadaver dogs and did an investigation, but it did not tell any outcome.
Well, it did say. It said that they didn't find anything else.
But that's my point.
Yeah. So if they never found anything else, and the person that did this, I think they were thinking, like if she has any like belt or clothing that we could get, prints on, whatever, then we need to remove those.
Uh-huh.
And the animals would just, take care of that.
Yeah.
But this is, and according to Sarah's family, investigation never did even look for her, never even looked for her. And
Yeah.
all this time, I mean, can you imagine what it would be like to know you've done this, to know you put somebody out there, 10 months go by, and every night you lay down and think, she's still out there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still out there.
Yeah.
What's going on now?
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's a nightmare. And I don't know how and you've got to think about these addicts that are in active addiction and what they'll do to cover up their mistakes.
Yeah.
What lengths would they go to?
Yeah. We've seen several examples of just some of the ways the brain works for people that are addicts that do stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes they get away with it. Sometimes they don't.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Well, I hope that there are some answers. I hope people will come forward and let us know anything else that we're missing or we got it all wrong.
Yeah.
Does anybody know anything at all? I know somebody does. I know somebody knows.
Yeah.
Small town. But, it feels like in this area that if you're from a small town, Sarah was not really, rooted there with a
Right.
lot of family,
Right.
But what if the people that did this are rooted there? And what if they do have family that would kind of cover and protect?
Yeah.
Not,
Happens a lot.
it could be on the good side. I'm saying even with law enforcement, or I'm saying even on the not so great side,
Yeah.
reputation wise.
Yeah. Well, and look how wild rumors run too.
True. Very true.
Yeah, it's crazy the stuff people will tell when they don't know anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, just want to remind everybody to hit that like and subscribe button
Mm-hmm.
and click the notifications bell so you can see content when we release it. And we appreciate you. We need to get these videos shared. So most importantly, please share these videos.
Yes.
And don't forget to leave comments and stuff for us too.
Mhm.
Please let us know.
Yes, and we'll update if we find out anything about this, because like I said, we're on the time of Sarah's birthday. She'll
Yep.
been 28 years old this year, and
Wow.
5-year anniversary of her remains being found, or partial remains being found.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would help Sarah rest, and her sisters and her friends,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Well, as always, we appreciate you, our audience, and we'll see you again on the next one.
Bye.